Today we're going to be doing solving triangles using the law of sines. So first of all, let's talk about what the formula is. All right, so law of sines is going to be, I'm going to write it up here at the top. Let's see here. So we're going to have sine of angle A, all right, over little a. So the ratio of sine angle A over little a is going to equal the ratio of sine angle B over side B. All right, and that's also going to equal the ratio of sine angle C over side C. All right, so whenever you do proportions, of course, you only use two at a time. All right, but they just want to let you know that all of those proportions are the same. So anytime you have sine of an angle measurement, that's going to be directly proportional to the opposite side, which will be denoted by the lowercase letter of that angle. All right, so I'm just going to draw a picture really quickly of what that looks like. So if I have a triangle here where this is angle A, this is angle B, and this is angle C, the side that is directly opposite of angle A is going to be little a. The side that is directly opposite of angle C is going to be little c. And the side opposite of angle B is going to be little b. All right, so that is how you would label that particular triangle. And then once you have your measurements, you would substitute where necessary. All right, so let's talk about when do you use sine. All right, I'm going to put this over here. So there are two reasons that you would use sine over law of cosines. So reason number one, you are given an angle and its opposite side. So if you are given an angle and its opposite side, you will use law of sines. All right, and then reason number two would be if you are given two angle measurements. All right, so if your information fits one of the two criteria, then that's when you use law of sines. All right, so let's look at our examples. It says determine the number of solutions when possible, solve the triangles that exist. I'm not going to get into the number of solutions. I'm just going to show you how to solve how to use these formulas to solve the triangles. All right, so it says solve triangle ABC if A equals 63 degrees, B equals 18, and A equals 17. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my picture. All right, I'm going to draw my triangle. Okay, now when you draw your triangle, it does not matter how you label the angles. You just have to make sure you substitute the information correctly. All right, so this would be lowercase b, opposite of b. This would be lowercase a, and then this would be lowercase c. All right, so I'm going to substitute my information in red. All right, so it tells me angle A is 63. All right, so I'm going to put a 63 right here. That's a degree. All right, it tells me little b is 18. All right, so I'm going to put this is 18. And then it tells me little a is 17. All right, so notice here, all right, I have an angle and its opposite side. So I have angle A, all right, and I have little a. All right, so angle, opposite side. So two letters that match, two letters that are capital and lowercase. All right, so because I have the information for angle A, all right, I'm going to use sine of A. So let's see here. So I have the information for A, so I want to use sine of angle A. Okay, so next thing I have is a piece of B. All right, and so because I have a piece of B, that means I'm going to use B first before I do anything else. I don't have any information for C, so that ratio is not going to help me at all. All right, so I'm going to use sine of B first. Over little b. All right, so now let's substitute our information. So A is 63, so this is going to give me sine of 63 over little a, which is 17. And then capital B, I do not know, so I'm going to leave that as capital B. And then lowercase b is 18. All right, so now I have two proportions that are equal to each other. All right, so the way you would solve two proportions is to cross multiply. So that means I'm going to multiply sine of 63 by 18. And then I'm going to multiply 17 by sine of b. All right, so that would give me 18 sine 63 equal to 17 sine b. All right, so you can do this one of two ways. You can do this by putting everything into the calculator at one time, or you can simplify using the calculator first and then solve for sine b. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just solve. All right, so solving for my variable. All right, I need to get rid of the 17 and the sine. So you do that just by following your solving equations rules. All right, so 17 is my coefficient of the variable. And so because it is being multiplied, to do the, you would do the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So I would divide by 17 on both sides. All right, that would cancel out. And then I will have sine b is equal to, put that into my calculator, and I'm going to actually type it all in one swoop. So in parentheses, I'm going to type 18 sine and then 63, close the parentheses, and then I'm going to do my division sign and 17. All right, and that would give me 0.94. All right, so now, okay, I still have this sign right here next to my variable. All right, so I have to get rid of it. So in order to do, to get rid of the sign, you have to do inverse. All right, so that's going to be sine denoted by -1. So I'm going to do sine to the -1 of the 0.94. And I'm actually going to type that in my calculator. So to get to the inverse options, normally you have to press the second button. If you're using a scientific calculator, you would press the second button and then you would press sine and you would get sine to the -1. And then you could just type 0.94 into your calculator and you would get approximately 70.6 degrees. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and round that up to 71. All right, so that means angle B is approximately 71. All right, so that is one part of my triangle down. All right, now I have a few more pieces to go. So 71, that is 71. Boop. Okay, so next thing I want to do is find either angle C or little c. All right, so when it says solve, that means they want you to find all the missing pieces. All right, so I still have to find angle C and little c. All right, well, I can't do anything with my formula unless I have one of the two c's. All right, so I can't really do anything with the formula. However, basic rules of a triangle still apply. So 3 angles of a triangle should sum to 170 degrees. So I should be able to add 71 and 63 and subtract that from 180. All right, so that would give me angle C. All right, so I would add those two angles that I just have. All right, and then I will subtract that sum from 180, and that will give me what is left over. So let's see, 71 plus 63 is going to be 134. All right, and then if I subtract that from 180, I would get 46 degrees. All right, so C is 46. All right, so last thing for me to do now is to find side C. All right, and I would do that by using law of sines again. So now that I do have angle C, I can use the sine C over little c. All right, it's always best to use the given information. All right, just in case if I made a mistake on part B, or that would of course make this one wrong. However, I still have an option to get a piece of the credit. All right, if I were to make a mistake here. So always try to use your given information if you can. All right, so I'm going to reuse sine A over little a, but this time I'm going to use 46 for C. So I'm just going to write that over here. So sine of angle A over little a is going to equal sine of C over little c. All right, so again, A is 63, so that would give me sine of 63 over little a, which is 17. And then sine of C, so C is 46. We rounded that up. All right, and then little c is what I'm looking for. So again, I would cross multiply. All right, so that would give me 17 sine 46 equal to C sine 63. All right, and so here I am solving for C, so this is multiplication. So to undo multiplication, the inverse of multiplication is division. So I would divide both sides by sine 63. All right, so sine of 63 would cancel out on both sides. All right, and I will just type this whole thing into my calculator. All right, and when you type this into the calculator, just depending upon what type of calculator you're using, make sure you put this top piece in parentheses, okay? Because it's performing more than one operation. All right, so I'm going to do parentheses 17 sine 46. Right, and make sure you do close the parentheses. And like I said, depending on what kind of calculator you're using, if you press the sine function, it may open parentheses for you. If it does, just make sure you hit that parentheses twice in the back so that you close the parentheses on the function as well as on the top of where the 17 is. All right, so I'm going to put that parentheses 17 sine 46, and I'm closing the parentheses twice on mine because I am using the TI-84. All right, and so then I will press my division sign, and then I will have sine of 63 down at the bottom. And then I will press enter, and you would get C is 13, approximately 13.7. All right, and so I have found little c. I have found angle C, and I have found angle B. All right, and I have solved the triangle because I found all the missing pieces. All right. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. So it says solve triangle ABC if A equals 32. C equals 20, and A equals 112. All right, so again, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start by drawing a triangle. And I am actually going to draw a line here for my face. All right, so I'm going to draw my little triangle. Here we go. All right, and I'm going to label A, B, C. This would be little a, this would be little b, and then this would be little c. And let's see. So A is 32. So this would be 32. All right. C is 20. So this would be 20. And then big A is 112. All right. So let's go ahead and look at what I'm going to substitute. All right. So I have information for A and A. All right. So of course I'm going to use sine of big A over little a equal to, all right, and then I have this C here, right? So I'm going to use sine of C over little c. All right, so big A is 112. All right, and then little a is 32. All right, so C is unknown, so I would have sine of capital C. And then little c is 20. All right, so that takes care of my substitution. All right, so now I am going to cross multiply. All right, so that would give me 20 sine of 112 equal to 32 sine C. All right, so I'm solving for C. All right, so let's get rid of that coefficient. Again, you would get rid of the coefficient by canceling out the multiplication using division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 32. All right, that 32 would cancel out and leave you with sine of C. All right, so I'm going to type this whole thing in a calculator. And again, the stuff that's at the top, make sure you do put it in parentheses. So I'm just going to open the parentheses. I'm going to press 20. Then I'm going to press sine of 112. All right, and I'm going to then, after I close the parentheses, I'm going to divide that by 32. All right, and then that will give me 0.57. All right, and also too, the calculator you're using, make sure your calculator is in degrees and not radians. All right, if your calculator is in radians instead of degrees, your answers will not come out correctly. All right, so your calculator does have to be in the correct mode. The angles that we are using are in degrees, so our calculator needs to be in degrees. Okay, so I would get 0.57 equals sine C. And then from there, of course, I still have to cancel out this sign. And you would cancel out sine from the variable by doing the inverse. All right, so I would do sine denotated by the -1 of the 0.57 in the calculator. And again, you would press the second, then the sine button. And then you would type in your 0.57 and you would get 35.4 degrees. All right, and again, I am going to round that just to the nearest whole number, and I'm going to use my squiggles, all right, for approximately, and I'm going to use 35 degrees. All right, so that would be one answer down. All right, so now I do have two angle measurements. I have A is 112, C is 35. All right, so in order to get another, that last angle, again, triangle. So all three angles should add to 180 degrees. All right, so I'm going to do 180 minus 112 plus the 35. So that would be 180 minus 147. All right, which is 33 degrees. So angle B is 37 degrees. 33 degrees, I'm sorry. All right, so now that we have found angle B, all right, I can now find side B, all right, by reusing the formula. So I would do sine of angle A. Again, I'm going to repeat that information for A equals sine of B over B. So again, A was 112. And little a is 32. All right, angle B is 33. And little b is what we're solving for. So again, solving proportions, I want to cross multiply. All right, so that's going to give me B times sine of 112 equals 32 sine of 33. All right, so getting rid of the stuff by the variable, so I need to undo sine of 112. All right, so remember this is multiplication. You undo multiplication by division. So I would divide on both sides. That will cancel out. And then I will type all of this into the calculator. All right, again, the top needs to be in parentheses. So I will do 32 sine of 33, closing my parentheses, making sure to close both if you do have two sets. Then I will press my division sign, and I will press sine of 112. And I would get 18.8. Nope, and I wrote 9. 18.8. So little b would be 18.8. All right, so those are two examples of how to solve triangles using the law of sines. All right, so I want you to do the you try it down here at the bottom. All right, I want you to try both of them. So go ahead and press pause to give yourself a minute to try to work them out on your own. And once you're finished, press play, and I'll explain to you how to solve them. Okay, so of course, first thing we want to do, draw my picture. All right, so A, B, C. This will be little b, this will be little a, this will be little c. All right, so now let's label. All right, so little b is 15, little c is 13, and big C is 50. All right, so I have both information for C. All right, so this time, instead of using sine A, you should have used sine C over little c. All right, because you do have angle C and little c, side C. All right, and then the other one I would have paired it with would have been B, because I have that side length for B. So sine of capital B over little b. All right, so then you should have substituted your information. So that would have been sine of 50 over little c, which is 13. And then sine of capital B over little b, which is 15. All right, then you would have cross multiplied. All right, and that would have been 15 sine of 50 equals 13 sine B. All right, next thing you should have done was get rid of the coefficient and divide by 13 on both sides. All right, so that would have canceled out. You would have had sine of B. Right, I would have typed all of this into the calculator, making sure to put the 15 sine 50 in parentheses. Divided by 13. And you would have gotten 0.88. Right, and then the last step would have been to inverse sine. So sine to the negative 1 of 0.88. And that would give you 62 degrees approximately. It's actually 62.1, but I am rounding. So B is 62. All right. So once you got B, you should have then used your triangle sum theorem. So angle A should have equaled 180 minus 62 plus 50. So 62 and 50 is 112. And then 180 minus that would have been 68 degrees. So angle A should have been 68 degrees. All right, and then the last thing would have been to do sine C over C again with angle A this time, so you can find side A. So sine of capital A over little a equals sine of capital C over little c. So sine of 68 over little a equals sine of 50 over 13. Right, then you would have cross multiplied. All right, so that would have given me a sine 50 equal to 13 sine 68. All right, and then I would have gotten rid of the sine 50 by dividing on both sides. All right, that would have canceled out. And A would have been equal to, once I put that into my calculator, 15.7. All right, and triangle solved. All right, so hopefully you did get these as your answers. If you did not, hopefully you see where you made your mistake, so that you know not to make that mistake again. All right, and then the last one. All right, so this time I'm not going to draw the picture. All right, I'm just going to look at the information and make my equation from there. All right, so it gives me big A and little a. All right, so that means I know for sure I'm going to use sine of capital A over little a. All right, and then it also gives me B. So that means I'm also going to use sine of capital B over little b. All right, so now let's substitute the information. So this would give me sine of 132, all right, over little a, which is 33. All right, and that would equal sine of capital B over little b, and little b happens to be 50. All right, cross multiply. All right, that gives me 50 sine 132 equal to 33 sine B. All right, so then from here, you divide by your coefficient. All right, so that would have canceled out. On this side, you would have been left with sine of B. All right, and then of course, I would have typed that in my calculator, 50 sine 132 divided by 33. And I would have gotten 1.1. All right, so if you try to do sine inverse of 1.1 in the calculator, all right, you would have gotten an error. All right, so the reason why is because, and I'm going to type this on the side in your notes section. All right. The maximum value for sine and cosine both is 1. All right, so I'm going to put that there, and I want to bold it. Let's see here. I want to bold it, italicize it, and underline it. It's very, very important to know. Okay, maximum value for sine and cosine is 1. All right, so if you get down to this step right here where you have sine of some angle, cosine of some angle is a number and it's greater than 1. All right, the answer is no solution. All right, so the answer is not error. You don't extra write error, but you real write no solution. All right, you cannot have an angle, a sine or a cosine of an angle that is greater than 1. So that's why the answer is no solution. All right, hopefully this gave you some clarification and a little bit better understanding of how to use the formulas for law of sines and law of, just law of sines. So thank you so much for watching the video.